Welcome to the Cascade Sports Network podcast. This is December week 2, but the first episode of the podcast. If you are listening to this podcast right now, it probably means you have found the Cascade Sports Network website, but if somehow you have stumbled across this without the website, you can find that at Cascade Sports Network's Instagram in the bio. Make sure you check out the website after listening to this podcast. This podcast is going over all things Cougar sports related, predictions, stats, individual athletes. We will be interviewing individual athletes, coaches, weekly school news, and standings. We only will be going over the sports that are currently in season. So right now, that is basketball, wrestling, and swimming. I'm your host, Maddux Richards. I have my co-host here, Zach Wilson. So let's get right into it. First, we got boys basketball. They are 3 games into their season. They have Marshfield later today, Friday the 10th. We are recording this right before the game. The game is at 7. OSAA has ranked the boys basketball team second, and the coaches pool has also ranked the boys second, 3 points behind Marshfield. I believe the final stats, Marshfield had 111 points, and Cascade was only 3 behind them. For the Cougars boys basketball team, they have been rocking with a starting lineup of Kellen Sandy at the point guard. Rogue Newton and Samuel Horn have been switching off at the shooting guard. Spencer Horn at the small forward, Ty Best at the power forward, and Dom Ball at the center. Their wins include their first game was a 65-37 win against North Marion. Then they kicked it off with a 57-39 win against Central, and their latest game was a 56-66 win against Marist. Zach, what do you think about this basketball team so far?
They're looking really, really good, playing good ball down below with Ty and Dom. Really good chemistry.
For the girls basketball team, they are also 3-0. OSAA has ranked them 5th. Coaches pool has also ranked them 2nd. They are going with a starting lineup of Ariel Tobiasen at the point guard, Kenna Coleman at the shooting guard, Natalie Federico at the small forward, Abby Jempson at the power forward, and Mia Carley at the center spot. This team's wins have included also a 63-37 win against North Marion, a 36-33 win against Central, and a 46-33 win against Marist. Both of these teams are undefeated and have championship hopes towards the end of the season. Wrestling, we don't have anything for yet. They had their first meet, and we have an athlete of the week from wrestling as well. We'll get into that in our next segment. Swimming has not had a meet yet either, so no stats for them, and they also will not have an athlete this week. For our athletes of the week, we have Anna Wilson, Lance Van Hoos, and Ty Best, one from each sport. Again, we do not have a swimming athlete this week because they have not had a meet. Anna Wilson has been described from coaches as a great floor spreader and a great 6 option off the bench. This is Anna's senior season, and she is currently having a great start of the year, helping the Cougars get to that 3-0 record. For our wrestling athlete of the week, we have Lance Van Hoos, who is currently 8-0 and just placed first place in the Beverly Perlison Churney for the 182 weight division. His wins include wins over Matthew Trulson, win over Nishant Vashint, win over Levi Vorovic, a win over Riker Pittman, a win over Jesus Garcia, a win over Gavin Harris, a win over Braden Duke, and a win over Trey Dinger. These are great wins for Lance, as he is currently 8-0 in the season. He just won state for the 160 weight class. Zach, what do you think from Lance Van Hoos?
Lance, he's obviously a beast. He's undefeated, and I would not be surprised if it stayed that way for the rest of the season.
And for our boys basketball athlete of the week, we have Ty Best, who actually has won this award and will be appearing on our podcast in the next segment. Ty Best is first season with the Cougars. They are also 3-0. Over these 3 games, Ty Best is averaging 20 points per game and 7 rebounds. So great stats from our athletes of the week. It is now time for our Athlete of the Week segment. A little introduction. Ty Best is the post for the boys basketball team. Currently 3 games in, Ty is averaging 20 points per game, paired with 7 rebounds, helping the Cougars to a 3-0 overall record. Second in both the coaches poll and the OSAA rankings. Tonight, Ty, you guys will be hosting the Marshfield Pirates, a 4A championship game rematch. How are you feeling going into this game?
I'm feeling fairly confident. Us as a team, not only me, but us as a team, we worked very hard on the defensive end as well as offensive plays, and I think we got to come into this game with energy, and if we do and create momentum, then we should come out on top.
If you could predict a score at the end of this game, what would you predict?
Well, I've never really played against Marshfield, so I don't know their team very well, but I know it's going to be a dogfight, so the score will be pretty close.
Obviously, Ty, you went to Santiam School, which is a 2A school. Making the leap to Cascade, which is a 4A school, what has the change been like from those divisions?
The atmosphere is totally different. There's a lot more people, obviously, and I think here at Cascade I feel more welcomed, and there's a lot more support for sports.
Do you think it is more challenging playing at the 4A level than the 2A level?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so you've obviously been playing very well this season. You've been averaging 20 points per game, as Maddux has mentioned multiple times. What has been the key to that, and how do you plan to continue this trend?
I think staying in a scoring mentality and contributing to the team, not only just scoring but contributing as a defensive player, can create momentum on the offensive end. So I think especially chemistry with Don Ball as well, down low, has created a lot of shots for me, because it's obviously not just me scoring that, it's the whole team.
Ty, you just talked a little bit about your chemistry with Don Ball. Obviously, a 6'7" and a 6'10", almost 7-foot duo over in the post is a really good thing to have for any basketball team, and Marshfield is basically the only other basketball team that can really compete with that size. What do you think it'll take from the Cascades post duo to overcome Marshfield's post duo, and do you think that these are your biggest competitors this season?
All right, well, as far as what I've seen on film of Marshfield, I think their bigs aren't very dominant on the inside. They're definitely shooters, so I think our defense is going to have to extend out to the perimeter a lot more. And I think feeding the inside, whenever Dom and I are on offense, I think that'll be the key to getting the edge over Marshfield.
So obviously you're a very talented player, as we've already established in this podcast. Do you see yourself ending up in a collegiate program, and if so, where would you like to go?
My dream school would be UCLA, but yes, I definitely feel like I'm going to be playing college ball.
So why UCLA?
The Bruins program is insane. Like, there's a lot of great players that you've seen come out of there. One example is Russell Westbrook, and that would be pretty cool to go where he's went.
Playing college ball is a really big accomplishment for anyone. So as a leader of this high school team, or upperclassmen, what is your responsibility to set the tone, and what tone is that you are setting?
I think us as a team definitely need to get hyped, and I think we have that, as well as staying composed in tough situations. Like, for instance, whenever we were playing against Marist, on the defensive end, there was a lot of anxiety, and we were all over the place, and us as upperclassmen, we just got to calm each other down and play basketball how it should be played.
Do you think you'll be able to fix those problems?
Yes, I do. Especially with our practices, they're high tempo, high energy, and we make sure to fix any offensive or defensive mistakes we may be making.
Even with the struggle against Marist, as you talk about, it was still a 13-point win, 46-33. Do you think this team can repeat what they did last year and go undefeated in league?
Yes, I believe so.
And how hard of a feat do you think that will be to reach?
I think it'll be difficult, but I know my team, and I'm very confident that we'll be able to pull that off.
We talked a little bit about the chemistry last year for the Cascade Cougars as they got to the championship game. It was rolling. What does the team need to do this year to get back to that place in the locker room to get close as a team?
I think all teams, all of their end goal is to make it to that championship game, but that's a long term, and we were talking to Coach Cal, and he brought to realization that we need to focus on short-term goals. Obviously, our end goal is to make it to the championship and win it, but we got to focus on what's the next game, and once that's over, it's the next game, the next game, the next game, up until that happens eventually.
So, Ty, it sounds like your basketball team is rolling. It sounds like you guys got a great roster. You got some great chemistry, great coaching. Thank you for joining us on the podcast today, and good luck on the rest of the season.
Thank you for having me.
And for the rest of the listeners, the other sports were a little short today. That's just because there's really not a lot of games happening. There's not a lot of meets happening. But hopefully in our next podcast, which will be December week 4, We will have a little more for each sport, a little more on each athlete of the week. So thank you for listening, and thank you, Ty, for joining us.